I know I'm starting to like about 5 minutes earlier than I was supposed to, but I said today was going to be a pretty quick live stream because I have to actually go to work in a couple of hours, so I can't stay on as long as I usually do. I know my Sundays for the last couple few Sundays have been pretty preoccupied, so y'all couldn't really get all of the live streams consistently out of me like you really wanted them to. But it's that time of the year where the schedule is packed at my job. Well, one of my jobs. Well, I'm gonna say good afternoon to you, Anthony, because I don't know where exactly you are in the world or in the establishment, because it's after 12 going on 1 o'clock where I'm at. What's going on, Once and Future Man, Ashen, Gamer G? I think they re-upload the episode somewhere on YouTube because I know I've seen a couple of them be re-uploaded on the YouTube, but you'll have to find it probably after Monday. I'm not exactly sure, but if I do find it, I'll leave the link in the probably in a community tab so you can access it there. What's going on? I am six. Okay, what I explained Midwest. What's up, Kemet God? Appreciate it, Gamer G. That's well, actually, Ashen, where at my job, one of the jobs where I work at, it's always busy around this time of the year anyway, and it doesn't really have anything necessary to do with the holiday. It's more so because of how the season is ran. Like you have basketball, hockey, and college basketball going on around the same time. So it's always going to be busy. And then of course in December they have like a lot of holiday type events with along with the regular standard events, the regular sporting events too. So the months of November through, I would say, March are the busiest times at one of the jobs that I work at. That's like the seasonal rush right there. And then right around April, that's when stuff starts to slow down. What's going on live from NYC? Nero, J Cage. We're gonna talk about that Gamer G. I'm gonna see how much I can cover in this 1 hour. Leroy Green, Hattie Campbell. Two of the topics I'm gonna talk about, I haven't made a video for. I don't know if I'm gonna make it for a video for it, but I just wanted to or I just wanted to talk about it just in this hangout. Hill Mistress, unfortunately, they're not going anywhere because money can be made off of them, and as long as money can be made, they will always be around. You do know where you live at. We live in the establishment. That's why I call it that, because it's ran like a corporation. It runs off of money. I can't wait to see it either, Ashton. It comes on tomorrow. As a matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is after the episode airs, I'm gonna probably do a like a late night live stream. Hopefully y'all will still be up, maybe possibly, or y'all will get the notification. And I'm gonna just give y'all like some behind the scenes stuff, like the auditioning process that I went through to get the part, as well as some stuff that I that was involved with the shooting as far as shooting that particular episode goes. But I'm gonna do all of that probably tomorrow. And it's so crazy because word travel fast. I put that out there on social media. I get to work at one of my jobs yesterday in last week, and people coming up to me and say, "I heard you gonna be on TV," and I didn't even tell them personally. So it's like word travel fast, and I think it's because of I put it on Instagram and I put it on Facebook. One of my coworkers is following me on Instagram, and another one follows me on Facebook. So they both kind of did the word of mouth thing for me without me having to actually go ahead and do it. And that's how word pretty much traveled. But everybody said that people said they're gonna watch it, or they're proud that that this happened for me, or if they can't see it, they said they're gonna DVR it and then they're gonna watch it. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Bruce City, I don't know the score of that game because I'm not watching it, and even if I was, I'm not a fan of the Cowgirls anyway. So you came into the wrong stream. But let me go ahead and get started because this is 101, and like I said, I only have an hour. But first, when I want to get started off, first off, we lost two people this week. First, we lost Stan Lee, as y'all know, who was the co-founder of Marvel Comics, and just all around, I would say, icon, legendary. Like, there's really nothing you can say past that. One of the things that I think a lot of people echoed this is they're gonna miss his cameos, like in the movies that he was a part of. And in all he said is that he wanted to be in, as long as he had a small part in every single Marvel type movie that he did, that he was, that's fine. And he was always signed off as the executive producer of every Marvel film, whether it was made under the Disney umbrella, under Sony, or under Fox. So if you go back and you look at all those films, he had a cameo in pretty much, I believe, every single movie. As a matter of fact, I think somebody had put a compilation together of all the cameos he did, and it was almost a 20-minute video. So that just shows you right there how many cameos he appeared in. My favorite cameo, though, was in Captain America Civil War, where he played the mailman, and he came and knocked on the door and he said, "Excuse me, I have a package for Mr. Tony Stank." I'm telling you, everybody in the theater, including myself, erupted into like a burst of laughter when he said that. And what made it even funnier was when Don Cheadle's character came back and said, "That's him. This is Mr. Tony Stank right here." I don't know if that was ad libbed or what, but if it was, that was good comedic timing. That was one of my favorite cameos by him. But one thing I forgot to mention in the video that I did do about him is that Stan Lee, though he lived a very, very, very long life, 95, that's a lot of years. He lived it doing what he loved. A lot of people pass away nowadays and they don't fulfill what they feel that they're on earth to do. Like, they'll die, and not so much broke in the pocket, but also broke in the mindset. Like, they know what they're probably doing right now is not what they're supposed to be doing, but they're doing it just to get by. He actually did what he wanted to do and stuck with it. And I'm sure he went through a lot of obstacles to do it and gain the respect, worldwide respect from a lot of people. Of course, he probably had some haters like that Bill Maher, because he said something about him. I didn't pay attention to him because Bill Maher is ignorant anyway. He's an ignorant racist anyway. What's going on, Brielle? He had a hand in creating a lot of the Marvel characters. What a lot of people don't know is Stan Lee also briefly went over to DC while he was making Marvel. So he helped DC as well, not for a long time, but briefly. And I think his partner Jack Kirby did as well. But then they came back to Marvel. I don't know what Bill Maher said, but I know, like, I heard some people said that he had said something about. Oh, he had said something about. I guess people who was in the comics or something like that being ignorant or being childish or something like it. It was something stupid. It made no sense. He was probably doing it for shock value. But also, the other person we lost this week was Kim Porter. As we already know, she was the most recent one to pass away at the age of 47, which is just so young. Like, she was only, like, 47. That's relatively, nowadays that's considered to be, I wouldn't say old, anything like that. I mean, it's up there, but it's still relatively young compared to, say, Stan Lee, who died at the age of 95. And like I said, they said that she had pneumonia and all this other stuff. But then I'm also hearing that she went to the doctors and she was trying to get some kind of a treatment, but they pushed her away, or they shunned her, or tried to, try to self. They said maybe you just self medicate yourself or whatever they were trying to say, that it didn't. Whatever they told her to do, it didn't work. and she ended up passing away at 47. But I feel bad, for her family, especially her two young daughters, the twin girls, because they are at the age where they really need their mother in their life. Because they're probably going through those physical changes. Because I don't know how old they are, but I think they're probably early teenagers now, most likely, and they look just like her. Like they look like the splitting image of her. And when I saw the stuff when they were talking about how uh what was I getting ready to say? About doctors like turning people away, especially like black patients in particular. Um she they say that black people are immune to pain and what have you. And basically one of those whole things where you just need to sleep it off or whatever. And I said that doesn't surprise me because they have a history of doing that with black patients, especially black female patients. I mean, if you go back in history and you look at like the quote unquote father of gynecologists, they tested he tested his tools out on black women and didn't give them any kind of pain meds to ease the pain. So they had to deal with that naturally. And I know they was going through it. But when it came to a white woman, they found a way to ease the pain for them and then used it. But they had to use black women as their guinea pig, as their lab rat. Same thing with black men in the Tuskegee experiment. You didn't miss much, Reginald. I just got started. But you know what that also says too? When they say that we are immune to pain and things of that nature, as ignorant as that is, like someone else said, we do feel pain. But see, that also is a testament to us because they're basically saying our body structure is different and more durable than theirs. So they're actually, in a way, giving us a sly compliment that they need all of these meds to ease their pain and we don't. Why do you think they are going through it right now with this opioid crisis and they're losing their minds, or how come they want to commit suicide at the very slightest of feeling disenfranchised, I should say, because they don't know how to deal with a struggle or real pain like we do. So when they say stuff that we hurt their feelings or anything like that, I kind of just brush it off and laugh at the end of the day because it's funny to me. That's why I said if anybody in this establishment needs therapy the most, it would definitely have to be black people because we've gone through a lot of stuff through our history and still are going through, and we never got a chance to really air out our grievances the way we want to. So we deal with them in a whole nother way that's usually seen as unhealthy. Now let's get into some other topics. I want to start off with some things to talk about that I didn't talk about in a pre-recorded video. It's actually two in particular. And this one's been, I almost made it into a video, but I couldn't find a good video as far as a news clip to insert in there because I wanted to do an edited style video. And that's these neo-Nazis down in Florida. Now, I don't know if y'all heard or if you follow the Savoy Show on Instagram or if you've seen any of his videos, but he posted a video on his Instagram account where it was stating how it was 39, I think, neo Nazis down in Florida. I forgot what they called the name of the group. I think they had multiple names, but I forgot the name of the group. But it was 39 neo Nazis down in Florida. And they recovered all of these weapons, and it was a lot of them. Like when they were showing the news clip and they showed these line of weapons, it was like literally rows. It wasn't like just one row of weapons, it was multiple rows. And they said they also recovered pipe bombs and a rocket launcher. I'm trying to figure out what in the world were they going to do with the rocket launcher? What or who were they planning to um blow up? I said I could not. I only been to Florida one time in my life, and that was back when I was back in 2000. I went to Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, and I think I went somewhere else too. I didn't go to Disney World, but I don't think I could go back to Florida, like even for a visit or a vacation, because Florida has shown its racist nature too many times over, and a lot of y'all send me stories coming out of that state. It's like nothing good really can come out of that state except for a couple of vacation spots, and that's it. But yeah, they said it was 39 of them. And I also read somewhere that they said they were going to give them 2 years to that, maybe 2 years to something. I'm like, 2 years, that's way too low. Now that had been a few black people, it didn't even have to be 39 of them. It could have been 5 of them. And they probably wouldn't have had all that artillery. They could have had some weed on them. They would have been like 2 years. No, we're going to throw the book at them and give them like 10, 15, maybe 20, 30 years. But they want to give them 2 years, possibly. And I say possibly because I highly doubt that it's going to be etched in stone for having all of those weapons and planning to carry out a terroristic attack, which 9 times out of 10, they would not have called them terrorists. And also notice lamestream media really hasn't talked about it either, except for local media down there, which I expected them to. It would have been kind of hard for them to gloss over that. And they're not going to call them white identity extremists because they don't have a label for them, but they have a label for us. And all the people in that picture look like they came straight out of the most dirtiest, dustiest trailer park. What's going on, S. Wiseman? Now, the other story I wanted to talk about was the one I think it came out of, was it New York or New Jersey? It was one of those two states with the scam. Did y'all hear about that? The GoFundMe scam, where it was the two people, it was two guys and a woman, and it was like a homeless scam where they were trying to get I guess they were trying to get money. Anyway, they raised, according to the articles I read, they said they raised $400,000 for them. And the way that the scam ended up getting caught is because the quote unquote homeless man got mad because he didn't get his cut. What's going on, Leo? $400,000. Like they were only 600 shy of $1 million. And then I saw an article where the woman go and try and say, and she did the typical thing that I expected her to do. She came back and said, well, I was forced to do this. I was coerced into doing this. No, you weren't. The only reason you saying that is because that's probably a plea deal they told you to go with to try to knock some time off if you even get time at all. You went right along with the scam. There isn't a donation button, Kimmy Guy, because I don't have my monetization turned on. But if you do want to donate, you can go to the PayPal. I wish Char Willie or Cass was in here. Appreciate it, Gear Sonoma. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Gear Sonomics. Yeah, Hoodmistress. Basically, she tried to remove herself from the situation and tried to say that it was her boyfriend's fault as to why that scam happened. She tried to remove herself from the situation. I'm like, no, don't remove yourself now. You were just as involved. It could have been all your plan, and he could have went along with it. That's why a lot of people don't like to donate to a lot of things, especially especially when it comes to that GoFundMe. You got to be real careful when it comes to that. But what I find it very strange is that you'll have some black people who will create GoFundMe's for stuff that's actually legit, and one or two things will happen. One, they won't get enough donations, or two, GoFundMe will probably shut them down if they feel it's too fishy. I'm like, this person got $400,000 in this scam with an amount that high. I would have been trying to investigate where exactly is that money supposed to be going, because that's a lot of money. I'm gonna talk about some stuff that I already did talk about, but go into a little bit more detail. Let's see here. Oh, the Jamel Robeson situation. Like I said, condolences to his family, because I know they're probably going through it right now. One thing I forgot to mention in my video: this man has one child, and I believe he had one on the way. So now both of his children are going to have to grow up without their dad, and one child is not going to know the dad at all. Because I believe that they were young, like the child was young, like very young, like toddler age probably. And I believe that the woman he was involved with was pregnant with the next child, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I have a little bit, Hattie, not that much. I'm gonna talk about that though. I'm gonna talk about that. But yeah, they shot that man while he was on the job. Anthony Talton said Kanye West gave $150,000 to Jamel. Well, I'm glad that Kanye West did give his family $150,000, but guess what? That still doesn't really change how I feel about him personally, because of that still doesn't, to me, that does not erase the stuff that he has been doing for the last few months, maybe to a year. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad that he did do that, and he should have done that, especially since this happened in Chicago. But that still doesn't eliminate the stuff a lot of the stuff that he said and done over the last couple of months. And I hope that he actually genuinely gave them that money because he wanted to, and not because he's trying to get back in the good graces of people that fell off of him. So you got to be real careful with stuff like that. But I am glad that that he was able to do that. And I hope, like I said, I hope it was genuine and out of the kindness of his heart, and not because he's trying to, because he has ulterior motives. So I still side eye Kanye, but kudos to him for doing that. But yeah, they shot this man on the job. He was doing his job, working as a security guard, bouncer, whatever you want to call him, at his job, and two people got into it. A shootout ensued. He fired back, and who ends up dead? He does. But not by the fire that he was shooting at the other people, but by the cops. All they had to see was a black man holding a gun, and that was it. I'm like, and I think the people in there was trying to tell the cops that he worked there. They were telling them, the cops, that he worked there. He was security there. They probably come to that club often, or that lounge or that bar often. They probably see him a lot. And they probably knew him personally. It was like, he works here. But they fired upon him. And I said, that reminds me so much of Tamir Rice and John Crawford. Us holding a gun, a firearm, even when we are within our legal rights to own one and carry, is a threat to them. Right, Ashton Philando Castile is another one. He had his license, and he had his gun in his car, and they still shot him anyway, even after they told him to show something, and they still killed him anyway. And so the thing is, all they have to do is call someone and tell them that, oh, there's a black guy, or there's someone with a gun, and they will hop in that car and speed off like they are in a NASCAR race, and get there in record time. But remember, it was a running joke back in the day where black people would call the cops, and they said, oh, they put me on hold. Kind of still happens today. Yet they will take and accept these calls from a lot of these white women calling the cops on black people for for BS. Right, Anthony Tall, and they thought Tamir Rice was 18. I'm like, how in the world did you jump from 12 to 18? A 5-year difference. I said, he did not look like no 18-year-old to me. But that's also the thing. They always play up that our kids, or especially our boys, are older than what they are. As wise men, they know that, but they don't care. Many of them are trigger happy. Like Ashton said, they are trigger happy, and they can't wait to pull that trigger on a moving target, one that preferably bleeds and possibly dies, rather than a sitting target that's on paper and it's emotionless. That's actually commit God. That's actually when it kicked up. Was around that time. But remember, I had did a video of, and I'm gonna probably talk about that on here, talking about that one person and how these a lot of those anti-black attacks revved up around 2017. I said that's no surprise. It was actually a very funny video that I saw on Tariq's page. I think it was last week. I was going to do a commentary about it, but I'll talk about it here. And this is actually going to explain why you'll find a lot of cops, especially a lot of white cops, shoot first, ask question later when it comes to us. So there was this white cop, and he looked like he was like he could barely make it, and he was chasing after this black guy down the street. The black guy wasn't even running fast, and he was teasing him. Like, the guy wasn't even running top speed. He probably wasn't even he didn't break a sweat, and he probably wasn't even breathing real hard as he was running. It's almost like he was jogging. When that white cop felt he had that guy, that black guy crossed over him like he was on the court and made that white cop tumble on his behind. All I could do was laugh at that video. Some of y'all may have saw that video. Like he literally stumbled over his own feet. What's up, cats? Well, since someone mentioned it, I'll talk about it now. So those fires in California. First off, I hope that none of my subscribers who live out on the West Coast or live out in California are affected by these fires. Cause it's like I'm looking at it right now on the news every because they talk about it almost every day, and it's crazy. And shout out to Lisa because she is probably one of the few people that I know who talks about that particular story often. And I think True Royal Family probably does as well, since she's out there in California herself. But I saw a clip today where the fires are close to the freeway. Like they did like an aerial view in a helicopter, and you can see the cars on the freeway, and the fires are literally off the freeway. Like if those barriers were not there, them things would start to burn onto the freeway and probably do some damage to the point where if it got to that metal and that metal started to buckle, that freeway could collapse. But they said this is one of the craziest and dangerous wildfires that they probably have ever seen. I could not live in that part of California. If I had to live in California, I would have to like live somewhere near the city where there's no hills, it's not dry, there's no trees, none of that. But who I don't feel bad for are those people that spoke ill about us. I don't feel bad for them, like that Alyssa Milano, for instance. I had put on Twitter, I said, I bet she would be the one that would blame Farrakhan for them fires. I bet she is. She probably won't tweet it, but yeah, I bet she would say something like that. Can't stand that skink. What's going on, Vulcan? Well, see, Hood Mistress, you one of the lucky ones. As a matter of fact, I was looking at a news clip where I guess Will Smith had posted a video somewhere on social media where he was standing outside of his house, and he said that if you look right over there at that hill, you can actually see the smoke from the fires. He said the fires was about 8 miles from his house, and he and his family had to evacuate. Some people's houses literally got burnt to the ground. I hope they got good insurance, which if they're smart, I'm sure they do. You took it way back, Hood Mistress, because I said she ain't been irrelevant since Charmed. Since that's more recent. Not a lot of people remember who's the boss. I don't know why they didn't leave. Some people probably, I don't know. Sentimental value, I don't know. I don't know why they didn't leave. See, and another reason I couldn't stay out of California too is them earthquakes. I said California has them wildfires and they have them earthquakes and in rare occasion those mudslides. I'm surprised California is still attached to the establishment and it hasn't floated off into the ocean somewhere. So California just got a buffet of issues going on in that state. but it's usually always in the same areas for the most part that I've noticed. I remember when it was an earthquake on the East Coast a couple years ago. Freaked me out back in 2011. I was laying down in my bed, and it was like why is my bed going back and forth like that? And I hop up, and I'm like, the stuff on the wall was shaking. I'm like, what is this? And it was loud. It sounded like a freight train. It's not like how they make it in the movies. It sounded like a freight train had hit the side of the house. And then I turned on the news, and it was like breaking news, and it was everywhere. They said it was an earthquake. I said, an earthquake on the East Coast. Some of y'all probably remember that. Stanley, I don't know where in California Tariq lives. And I'm sure if there was affecting him, he probably would have tweeted about it. And I haven't seen him tweet about his area being affected, so he might be good. What's going on, Lion Sphere? I remember when it's funny you say that, Cass, because I remember when Texas tried to be its own nation, but they weren't successful. Okay, so yeah, someone said he lives near the Hollywood Hills, so he's good. What's up, Attila the Q? I can believe a hood mistress, and now that I know the earthquake came over here, I know now that I live on top of a fault line. Yeah, because it started in Virginia and then it moved its way up the East Coast. So it started in VA, and I think they said it went all the way up to Maine. So it literally started and went through about seven, maybe eight states. And what was so crazy is you had some people that was all the way in Georgia saying they felt it. I said, y'all is lying. Hey, Linesville, you don't know my PayPal account? Hey, Cats, are you in here? Are you still in the chat? And like I said, the scariest thing about earthquakes is that there's no warning for them. You know, they have tornado warnings, they have flash flood warnings, they have hurricane warnings, thunderstorm warnings, snow warnings. But earthquakes is the only one that is not detected by a warning, mainly because it comes from the core of the earth and they cannot detect it from there. They can only detect stuff from above, like on the surface level. 2011 Tonster. It was yeah, it was I know it was 2011 because I had just graduated from college that year. And it was in September. I think it was September when it happened. Hey Cats, can you post the link to my PayPal in the chat? Because some people was asking for it. J Dog, you didn't miss much. I maybe covered maybe about I'm on my third topic now. Yeah, I remember the earthquake in Haiti. My roommate when I was in college at the time, he's Haitian. And he and some other people had put together or like some kind of a fundraiser event to send money to the people down there. And then I know Haiti just recently had another earthquake. I said, whatever they do, they need to not let the American Red Cross get involved with that because we already know what happened the last time they got involved. All right, for those of you who want to donate, Cats just posted the PayPal link in the chat. It must have been towards the end of August, King Hebrew, because I could have sworn it was September. But it felt so long ago. But the fact that it happened and it could happen again is scary. That too, Attila the Q. Don't they shady as well. That's one thing black people need to get through their heads, that the Clintons are shady, shady, shady. What's up, Joe Johnson? What's up, Cece Sanders the second? Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about was Cindy Hyde Smith. Who watched the video that I did about Cindy Hyde Smith? Okay, so y'all know that she made that comment where she was saying that she would attend a public hanging or a public lynching. And I'm not surprised she said that. And she is a Republican, but I can put to the side the fact of what her political leanings are, because she could have been a Democrat and said that too. And she is in Mississippi, and she was on camera and she was talking to somebody and said, you know what? If there was a public lynching, I would attend, or something to that effect. And they went on to say that she didn't apologize. Not that I'd expect her to, because it wouldn't have been genuine anyway. You don't say something like that and expect us to accept an apology. But something else came out after that video was posted. And there was this some political figure had did some kind of, I guess, speech, and she was there, right next to him. And then he went into this whole diatribe, or this whole dialogue, talking about um black women and the abortion rate since the 70s or something like that, talking about how they aborted 20 million black children. I said, no, he didn't. Did y'all hear that? Did anyone catch that clip? So you mean to tell me that, to try to excuse what she said, you went and dug that up and said that to the public? And they tried to keep that just as low key as what she said. So basically, he was saying that because there was all these abortions that happened, that we should not be upset at her saying that she would attend a public lynching. That's basically what he said. Because basically, what he wanted to say is that we're killing ourselves anyway. So what's a lynch, like? What's one lynching going to affect you? I'm surprised he didn't pull the black on black crime thing out of his butt. Of course, Ashton Lewis. I always talk about Lee Atwater whenever I talk about code speak in certain videos. I always frame it with Lee Atwater taught us. I said he might have been a POS, and he was, but when he got exposed and what he said, he was spot on with that. And they've been using that ever since. They've been using that code speak technique ever since. And then what they'll try to do is they'll try to tell you, oh, it wasn't racist what was said because we didn't say this, that, and the third. What's up, Q? But see, he's also being on code. He wasn't about to hold her accountable for what she said. He knows what she said was wrong. She knows what she said was wrong. But she stayed on court by saying she wasn't going to apologize, which I'm fine with, like I said, because I wouldn't have accepted that apology anyway. Some sucker probably would have, but I would. He was being on cold bit by doubling down, deflecting, avoiding from what she said, not forcing her to apologize. Not that I knew that, not that he would have anyway, and then pulling this and then saying that out of his mouth. I will say this though, he is like one of the first, I would say, white figureheads that I've ever heard actually say that publicly. It could have been others, but I may have never heard them or seen them, but he was probably one of the first I saw actually say that. Yes, Attila the Cute. I couldn't think of who it was. It was the governor of Mississippi who said that. I knew it was a political figure, but I didn't know how, like, what his position was. But yeah, it was the governor. Now that you mentioned it. What's going on, Samantha E? And he probably said it because he probably heard it somewhere. He probably heard someone else say it, and he probably said it. Ashton, you said he's related to Carolyn Bryant. You said the governor of Mississippi is related to Carolyn Bryant. If that's true, that's all I needed to know. What's going on, Marcella? Wow, I did not know that. That's new. That's news to me. I did not know that. Well, thank you for relaying that information to me, to those who told me, because I didn't. Are we good? Are we good now? I don't know what that. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I was having a little trouble with the router earlier. I don't know what happened. Okay, good. We back. That's the first time that's ever happened, but I think the router was acting real funny. It was acting funny earlier today. I almost had to put out a tweet or something saying that I might not be doing a live stream today because the router was acting funny, but I think it still kind of is. Hopefully it stays good for the next 15 minutes. Good. Okay, let's see. What else can we talk about here? I'm scrolling through my topics that I've talked about this week. Oh, I found the perfect one. Adam Housley and his fake outrage. I had to get on him, and rightfully so. So we all know what happened with that shooting that happened at that bar, club, lounge in Thousand Oaks in California. And one of the victims happened to be Adam Housley's niece. And his wife Tamira Mowry Housley, and I'm guessing that was his brother, or maybe brother-in-law, I'm not sure, was sitting there and they was giving an interview. The only person that had any right to really be that outraged, in my honest opinion, was the father. You had, but you had Adam Housley on there speaking in a tone like he was back on the Fox News desk or in the Fox News field. Like, he didn't just get fired from there a few months ago talking about he left. We know they gave you them walking papers and they kicked you out. But his whole tone, that man just rubs me the wrong way. Like, I don't like that guy. Like, he has, like, his demeanor is just, and yes, we know he is a racist. I don't care what his wife says. She's being on cold for him, and I'm not surprised. But he made it seem like his niece was the only person who died in that if you can't hear me, refresh your page. He feels like his niece was the only one who died in that shooting, or that she was a target of this shooter. I said if that was the case, she would have been the only casualty. But she, along with a lot of other people, were affected by that shooting. He didn't know her. And then he was all for the Second Amendment and anti-gun control this and anti-gun control that. And then when this happens to his niece, now he wants to go on this stance where he is, oh, we need to tighten up on gun control. We need to make sure that the people who have guns are in their right state of mind and all of this stuff. Nah, I'm gonna need you to keep that same energy you had before this happened. See, it's amazing how people will switch up on you when something happens to you personally. But when it's not happening to you, then you don't have anything to say. We ain't forget what you said about Trayvon Martin. And like I said in my video, Trayvon Martin was like the little brother or the little cousin or the nephew or the son that we all wish we had, or something to that effect. His death really affected a lot of us and still does to this day, mainly because of how it was sensationalized in the media and how there was no justice after the fact, and because that thing in Florida is still running around acting stupid. And then it was a catalyst that led to a lot of other things that followed. And then when he made those comments about the 4th of July, talking about we need to celebrate the 4th of July and how it's wrong if we don't and how we're anti-American, I said he's been fired from Fox News and he still talks like he's there. Oh, Samantha E. There were some tweets that were pulled up from him from years ago when the stuff happened with Trayvon Martin. You know, the usual stuff that a lot of people say, oh, he shouldn't have been doing this, he shouldn't have been doing that. And, he was on Zimmerman's side, like most of them were. Yeah, Marcel, you probably just had to refresh your page. I know the first time it kind of the thing had went out on my end, and I understood that with the sound. But if you still didn't get any sound after that, then you probably had to refresh your page. And now I'm glad to see that you're back. Yeah, versatile legacy, justifying the death of a child. But now, because see, this is the thing. When this happened, after this happened, and they went out there and we found out that this girl, that this well, she was 18, so I don't want to call her a girl. This young woman was his niece, and people found out about it, and he wanted us to feel bad for her. And that's another thing. When stuff happens to them, they want us to always feel bad for them, but they never feel bad for us. That's why I didn't do a whole sob story type video when that synagogue got shot up. I just talked about it from the stance of what that shooter did and probably was going to end up happening to him, and that was about it. But when Dylan Roof did what he did in South Carolina back in 2015, we didn't get that kind of outrage. We had to be outraged on our own, which is not a problem. But they always expect us to be mad when they are mad, or jump when they say jump. And a lot of people are like, no, that's not going to happen. And then Tamira was up there upset because people were leaving her comments and they were calling her all types of bed wenches and everything. If you go and watch Lovely T's video, she pulled the comments that was left on her Instagram page, and people was going in on her. And it's mainly because Tamira is backing the stuff that he says and the stuff that he does. She doesn't call out, at least publicly anyway, her husband's wrongdoing. She it's like she just lets him get away with whatever. Mind you, she's the more noticeable person in that relationship. I guess that might just end up segueing me into the next topic, which is Michelle Williams and her fiance, quote unquote. So y'all saw the video I did about them, and she's been engaged to this guy since like what, March? They're not married yet, if they even make it down the aisle. But they said on the second episode of their show, she mentioned something about race to him, and he got offended and clapped back at her, doubling down, talking about her mental issues and her depression. And like I said, if y'all seen a picture of his family, they look like they came straight out of a trailer park. He's like the cleanest one of the quote unquote of them all on a physical appearance. And then I saw another picture of them where she was with them and she was holding a baby. I'm guessing it might have been one of her future in-laws, and it looked like they was as it just looked all the way bad. And it's like, okay, Destiny's Child, Beyonce is with Jay-Z, black man. Kelly is dating, I forget his name, but she's dating her manager. I mean, not dating, she's married to her manager, black man. Michelle Williams. I was like, you figure, oh, all three of them are going to get with a black man. And then Michelle Williams, she got with the white guy, who apparently has problems when race is being mentioned, and he doubles down and he goes at her mental depression. And like I said, I didn't know that she was going through any type of mental depression until after she got with the guy. Now, some people have said that she's been going through it for a while, but maybe she was keeping that private. But the fact that she decided to expose it after she gets with this guy raised many red flags for me. I said if she knows what's good for her, she needs to get out of that relationship right now. But at the end of the day, that's her relationship. I'm not a part of it. I can only call it as I see it. I don't know if Michelle was with Chris Tucker at one time. To be honest, she's like the only like one out of like the group that I didn't really know of. Like I would say her dating regimen, so to speak. Because even when she was Destiny Child, everyone thought that Michelle was the more low key person anyway. Because of course people focus more on Beyonce, and then Kelly came behind her, and then Michelle kind of like did her own thing. But I didn't know of Michelle's like dating, I guess you can say, routine, because she's never been like in any tabloids attached to any person that I know of. It wasn't until this relationship that became more, I would say, noticeable. And notice that Michelle is the only one out of the group who has a reality, quote unquote, show around her relationship. So I'm trying to figure out what's to gain from this. You mean to tell me you couldn't do a show around Kelly and her husband? We didn't need one around Beyonce and Jay-Z because we know who they are. But you wanted to make one around her and her fiance. What's going on, VZ? But hopefully she sees the light. That's that's all I can say. That's all I can say. Leo John, we're talking about Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child. Okay, Leo, I see what you're saying. I know what she's trying to say. You being funny. I get it now. No need to explain further. Okay, I wanted to do one last topic before I got off of here, and that was the one about the video that I did entitled Dry Run. Who saw that video that I did entitled Dry Run? It was actually a premiere video. And oh, I'm really liking this premiere feature on YouTube. This thing is gonna end up spoiling me. Because some people was confused on how it was working. It was like, I see comments from hours ago just now starting to pop up now. And it's basically the premiere feature is like the combination of a live stream and a pre-recorded video. Basically, you upload a pre-recorded video, you set a scheduled time you want it to upload, and then it says premiering now, and the person can comment on it, can leave comments on it while it's running in like it's running in real time, but it's not at the same time, if you get what I mean. Exactly, Gamer G. It's like live, but it's not live. But I saw on one of these, he did a video and he just left a comment about that dry run, that video that I did. He did his own live stream about it. And mainly because we both, well, he lives in DC and I live in PG County, but they're like they're next door neighbors. They're right next door to each other. But what that guy was talking about in that video, saying that was a dry run, that was basically a dog whistle, saying that he or other people like him plan on doing something like that, which that guy in Pittsburgh did at that synagogue again. Black people, especially those in DC, better be on their P's and Q's. Cross your T's, dot your I's, all of that. Because he's not the only one. That was just a warning. And LVZ actually made a good point. This is what happens when gentrification starts to hit. You don't know what is about to come into your neighborhood. Because once they get you out, who knows what's about to come in? And if they feel you're not moving fast enough, they'll find a way to exterminate, quote unquote, you. But they about to come in here with all kinds of drugs and opioids and everything. It was one time when DC used to be called Chocolate City. Now it's called Swirl City, not because people are swirling, but it's because it's becoming very, very, very diverse and mixed. I give it 5 years before it goes from Swirl City to Vanilla City. And for those of you who live in DC or living near the area and are familiar with Berry Farms, they are starting to bulldoze over there. And they already laid out a plan of what it's going to look like. I give it maybe 2 years, and Berry Farms is going to look completely different. It's probably not even going to be called Berry Farms anymore. But yeah, like I knew that was gonna start doing that when they started expanding the train system and adding more lines, because it used to only be one train that ran in DC. But see, now that they have so many lines, they like a lot of the people, like a lot of the white folks, they live out in the suburbs where the train doesn't go. So they'll drive all the way near the like more near the city, park there at the station, get on the train, go downtown, go to work. Then when they come home, take that long commute all the way to the end of the line, and then drive all the way back out into the suburbs. And they say, you know what, we got to find a way to accommodate them. So what do they do? They start raising the prices and rent, or they'll quote unquote, there's something that burned. And I say that in quotes because I think it was recently in VZ, you probably remember this. I think it was like a nursing home that recently burned down. I don't think that thing it was a coincidence that it burned down. I think someone set it on fire and they tried to blame it on electrical issues. Exactly, Vulcan. That means nothing but practice. I said that in the video. Exactly, VZ. Like they raised the price on everything, even on the prices of stuff that you would probably go and buy in the store. If y'all ever get a chance to go to DC, if y'all not from here, look at how high gas is down there. We're talking almost $3 a gallon. Luckily for me, where I live at, the gas station around the corner from my house is only 2.35. At least that's what I saw a couple hours ago. You know, the gas changes throughout the day. But we're talking almost $3. In some places, it's over $3. Now, of course, that's more like when you're going towards like Georgetown or whatever. Then that's when it's really high over there. But gas is expensive in DC. Rent is expensive. You know, they built the stadium. They got the soccer stadium on one side, then they got the baseball stadium on the other. They're starting to build these high-rise condos, all of that. Before you know it, DC gonna be looking like a mini New York. You know how New York got all those skyscrapers? It's almost gonna look like that. Probably when it's all said and done. Well, yeah, well, I forgot in LA and California, y'all gas is relatively higher. All right, y'all. It's after a little after 2. I told you I was only gonna be on here for an hour. I wish I can go a little bit longer, but I do gotta go to work, like probably leave out in probably another hour. So I'm about to hop off of this. Make sure, because tomorrow is the day, in case y'all didn't know, that the episode that I'm appearing in on TV1 comes on tomorrow for my man at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And like I said, I'm probably gonna put it out there as an announcement or maybe a premiere style video that I'm gonna do a live stream after my portion of the episode comes on, and then I'm gonna do like a little, I guess you can say a Q&A style live stream, or just me explaining what happened while I was filming that episode, when I was auditioning for the episode, and all of that good stuff. Because it's kind of hard to tell what goes on when you're seeing something on TV and you don't know what the process was. It was a pretty decent short process, but I'm gonna go into that tomorrow. But I'm gonna get off of here. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day. If you on the East Coast, try to stay warm because it is cold outside right now. I know it was freezing this morning when I went to the gym. It was a thick sheet of ice on my windshield. I had to defrost my car for almost 15 minutes just to get that stuff off of my car. But with that being said, I'm gonna hop off of here and y'all have a good day. Make sure y'all stay tuned for any other videos I plan to upload, because I do plan to upload some more.